All right, finding a comfortable seat, finding your spine, dropping in, and we can just hold this feeling of entering our practice together. Feel it. And with a bow, we can give ourselves to the space and to our practice for today. Great. Well, I was thinking we could start standing today. So let me tip this screen up a tiny bit. Cool. And yeah, take a nice stance. Find your feet on the ground. Maybe kind of grip your toes into the floor, almost like you're like picking up a pencil, or you're like a little monkey on a tree and you're picking up a vine, and you can just kind of slide your foot on the floor and grab. And one foot at a time, just one after the other, squeezing your toes and dragging the sole of the foot on the floor. This is just us activating our feet, finding our ends. This is where we feel the floor, how we can find the ground. Okay, this is the one surface area of our whole body right now that's touching the ground. And amazingly enough, we're standing, we're balancing, we're lifted off, and we're extending into gravity. I mean, I think we take it for granted, this ability to just be upright like this. So just finding the surface of your foot on the ground. Nice little gentle glides, gripping the toes a tiny bit. Notice what your hands are doing while you're moving your feet. I have the tendency to like make these little claws when I like grip my toes. My hands are like, I don't know what to do. But we can just kind of relax the hands, let the fingertips kind of fall loosely into space. And then we can bring that to stillness. Feel the feet plant about hip width apart. Just feeling the floor. Feeling the soles of the feet connecting to the earth. Supported. Sturdy. This is our foundation. This is how we've evolved to be erect and standing. Now let's take the hands, rub them up against each other. Now we're just finding the hands. These are our distal ends. These are the fingertips. You can flick your fingers a tiny bit. We're just adding some energy and some awareness into the hands. You can pretend you're washing your hands. We're coming up on a whole year now of all this hand washing. It's good habits, I guess. I feel like it's definitely ingrained at this point. Lots of hand washing. Found a lot of nice, good soaps this year. And then we'll just take our fingertips, maybe squeeze the palms, squeeze the fingers into the palms a tiny bit. Just activating the joints and all the little fingers, gripping onto the thumb. Let the thumb kind of fold into the fingers. Give it a little squeeze. And now that we've found our hands a little bit, we'll just kind of bring our arms up over our head. And the hands, you can't really see, but my hands are facing one another here. But we're standing up, palms facing one another, shoulders can feel like they have little anchors right at the base of those pointy parts of the shoulder blades. Little anchors pulling down the shoulders, but the fingertips are still alive. We still feel the energy, the activity in the palms and the hands. And we're not forcing or gripping or tightly trying to press into the sky, but We've got this energetic, awake quality. The hands up in the air. This is called Talasana. Not really a yin pose, but I don't see why it can't really be. We're still getting these benefits, expanding ourselves into the air, feeling the support and compression on the bottom of the feet. And then we can travel through the body with our mind. What's going on? Is the pelvis kind of tightly tucking backwards or forwards? Is the abdomen really clenched? We can maybe give ourselves a little wiggle here to loosen any of that stuff in the bottom. Let the pelvis be free. Let the organs relax to the bottom of the belly. Remembering the fingertips. Remembering the shoulders. Nice loose shoulders. We can feel that sense of effortless effort here. Balancing the structure with the receptivity. And we'll just be here for a little bit longer. The arms might be getting warm and tired. And if it's too much, you can always let it go. But we can notice the storyline that's happening here. Notice any feelings of wanting to escape or urgency. But as long as it's not sharp shooting pain, perhaps we can stay here for about 3 more breaths, finding the balance of ease, even in the challenge. And you can start to lower your arms down any way you like. The slower you go, the more you can feel the blood start to trickle back down the arms towards the fingertips. Give it a little shake. Notice that tingly feeling perhaps in the hands, in the shoulders. Relaxing the face. And then we'll take a little bit of a dive over our legs, folding forward, just in a dangle here for a little bit. You can still feel the soles of your feet on the ground. Bending the knees slightly, just letting the head and neck fall. I like to do that little fluttering of the lips here to just let go of the face and the neck. Just letting the whole torso get heavy, dropping down. The hands can just kind of drag on the ground, or you could grab opposite elbows. You could even put your hands on top of your head if you want a little bit more weight. That'll add more gravity to the head. You get to decide what kind of sensation you want here in your dangle. Taking care of the lower back, bending your knees as much as you need to, or lengthening as much as you need to. You could also put your hands on blocks. But letting that neck just get really loose and heavy, maybe shaking the head yes and no. Let the arms be relaxed. feeling the base of support, the floor coming up to meet the surfaces of your feet. All four corners of the feet, from the heel to the outer edge of the pinky toe, big toe, across the arch on the inner parts of the foot. Just a few more breaths here if you can. And then just widening your feet a tiny bit, heel toeing it out, coming down into a squat. Maybe you have to kind of move from side to side to kind of get into the hip area. And you can place a block underneath your hips for a nice little support there. You could place a rolled up towel underneath your heels for more support if they're coming up. And we're not gripping in the arms, we're still loose in the arms, but maybe we put our hands together just to have a little bit more of this support from the knees and the hands together, creating this nice little bridge. And we won't be here very long, but we notice what's coming up here. How is the body reacting? Is it with temperature? Is there tightness? Is there ease anywhere at all? How's the breath? How are the shoulders? How's the back? Can you feel the back of the lungs making space in the back of the body? And it's okay if the heels don't totally touch the ground. Mine don't. Maybe adding a tiny smile. Ah, we love this. Just noticing now, what's the body saying? What's the storyline of the body right now? Maybe it's even warmer. Where do you feel the warmth? Where does it feel tender? What are the areas being targeted here? Is it in the hips? Maybe it's in the ankles. Maybe it's in the shoulders. It's kind of like a full body experience. So it must be good. Or at least it's something. And why don't we go back into our dangle to let this go? So you can take your hands and push them into the ground for a little bit of support. Maybe heel toeing your heels back out or back in, and then just dangle again for a moment with knees bent as generously as you'd like. Sorry again about the sniffles. Letting out a big sigh. And you can start to walk yourself down onto your knees. Doesn't matter how you get there. We're back on the floor. More surface area on the ground now. Different. Gravity feels different. because now more of our body is connected to the earth. There's more places for support. It's just like a different way of navigating. And it's so subtle and commonplace that we don't take time to notice it. But maybe here we can, what's that like? How's that different? Subtle shifts in the way that we exist. And what do I have next? Okay, so let's now do one of those broken wings. So let's get flat on our backs. And before we tuck our arms underneath, now we really get to see how gravity works on the whole body when the whole back surface is supported by the ground. Feeling the floor coming up to meet you. It's almost like you can imagine that the floor is like tipped on its side and we're just attached to it. I mean, that's kind of what's happening. We're just stuck to the ground by the forces of physics. I'm laughing because I really don't know how any of it works, but I can feel it. Hopefully you can feel it too. And now we'll just lift our bodies up onto our elbows here, and we'll start with the left. Just tucking our hand behind our back of the hand against the back, somewhere in between the shoulder blades or a little bit lower. It can be anywhere along the back. And once you lay down, you'll notice if you want it to be higher up for more sensation or lower down for less sensation. Noticing here if that elbow is kind of tweaking out a little bit, like maybe the elbow's working a little hard or the bicep is working really hard to keep the arm from releasing into the gravity. So see if you can find a nice restful place here where the muscles aren't gripping very tightly. And you're getting some really nice compression on that hand. External rotation of the shoulder. There's a stretch going through the arm. Lots of good compression. Letting out the breath, making sure it's not trapped in there. Letting the breath ease the muscles in the face. Unclenching the abdomen. Letting all the organs just fill up the belly. Feeling the support of the floor. We're looking for ease. Even if there's a lot of sensation. And we're directly targeting the heart meridian, the lung meridian. So see if we can tap into the lungs a little bit more, breathing any way we like. That's natural and soothing, but becoming aware of the breath, the fullness of the breath, how it travels, the texture, how it moves through the lungs. It travels through the body, softening. Without straining the breath. We're not looking for lightheadedness. There's no pushing of the breath or forcing of the breath. It's natural and light, flowy. And we can slowly, very slowly, slower than what I just did to check the time, move out of this pose. You can come to your elbows to help you get out. And we'll just come up to sit, to feel, noticing what's going on with the left arm versus the right arm. Really taking a moment without muscling back into the body. Just feel this flowy sensation of breath while the blood returns to the left hand. New, fresh, oxygenated blood through the shoulders, sparkly tissues, bright, warm biceps. This is healing energy. And if we name it healing energy, it's bound to do something good. We'll place that intention into it. Imagining all the little cells of the arm, bright, luminescent, breathing. Let that fade. Watch as it gets less prominent. Starts to echo. What was once extreme is now practically a distant memory. Let's take a breath here. I like to take big breaths. I find them soothing, but maybe it's more of a subtle breath that brings you ease. You can just be attending to the breath. It doesn't have to shift it. You don't have to breathe the way I breathe. letting that go, starting fresh, a new opportunity, another arm to work with. Aren't we so lucky? We have multiple limbs that we can practice our yoga with. So let's find that nice juicy spot in the back, placing the back of the right hand somewhere that feels good to start. And before lying down, just feel it. Okay, we're starting to get into that arm. Little chicken wing here. Take a little dust bath with your chicken wing. And then we can just lay that palm down onto the ground. Adjust, maybe bring it a little higher, bring it lower. The other hand can just lay out in a T shape or cactus. You can rest it on the belly. Notice if that right shoulder is peeling away from the ground. If it feels like it's muscle, maybe we can just release a little bit more in the chest area. Let the muscles of the arm start to move towards the earth. But if it feels like you're trying to get that shoulder down to the ground and it's just not possible, maybe that's just the case of the bone or the muscle or the structure of the shoulder girdle. So you can always take something like a towel or a pillow and just tuck it underneath that shoulder for a little bit more support, bringing the floor up to meet. Anytime you feel like something would like to be closer to the ground, it's really nice to bring the ground to meet you. Keeping that exploration of the gravity. How it fills us, how it works through us. You can even imagine the earth, the whole earth spinning in the galaxy, in space, doing its thing. And as it spins, it creates pressure. And it affects us. It keeps us tethered to the spinning ball in space. Without it spinning, I think we would float away. Isn't that what they say? I think that's what they say. It's really cool to just imagine how the forces of nature are keeping us here. The only thing that's not keeping us here is our flighty minds and capitalistic persuasion. The desire to produce or want or need or buy or work. They keep us from being here. But the gravity, it always keeps us here. So let's stay here for a little bit less than a minute more. With your mind's eye, just start to imagine how you might get out of this pose without adding too much muscle in the neck, without gripping too tightly. How can you get out of this pose with the most support and the most ease? Maybe that means turning onto your side to get that hand out. And go ahead and execute it in the way that you feel would be most easy for you. And then we'll come back up to sit. Feel the response in the body. Staying easy with the breath. Relaxing the face. No need to wear any kind of expression. We feel the pulse in the right side. All the cells swimming, the tissues. Feel the compression and expansion. The shoulder joint is getting nice lubrication. Sending some of that healing energy to the right side of the body. Imagine it as luminous and bright, cleaning away the debris of sleep and day-to-day activity. Great, so now let's transition into a puppy pose. Perhaps putting something underneath where your chest might be, just to have that support there, but it's not necessary. You don't have to touch the ground here. But we'll come to tabletop. Walk the hands out a little bit further ahead of you and just bringing yourself down. Let the head touch. Let the heart hang like a hammock. Notice what the face is doing here, how the body is reacting. Where are you gripping that you can release? I hope you can hear me when my head is in the ground, but where might you be gripping where you can release? Where can you find more ease? Noticing the support that exists. And then just Bringing your hips back down to the ground, using your hands as support. And we'll come into a Sphinx pose. I'll turn slightly. And now our elbows are kind of supportive here. The hands, the pelvis, tops of the thighs are grounded. Perhaps the knees come up a little bit off the ground, or the shins maybe don't quite touch. Parts of the tops of the feet touch the ground. Just feeling that base of support here. And allow those places of contact to push into the ground lightly, very naturally, without too much effort on our part. Notice how that pushing, that yielding into the ground naturally suspends the rest of the body. So it's not like the head and neck are working that hard to stay up. We're finding this natural way of working with the ground, with our bodies, with the muscles, and with the structure of the bones. The bones are what's really taking in the gravity here, because it's our structure. It's like a house, when they have no walls and it's just the skeleton of the house with the structure of the beams and the supports. That's like our bones, and that's what takes on the gravity the most. So the muscles can really let go. We can feel deeply how the bones are taking the weight. Without the bones, we wouldn't have any kind of structure at all. Soft, malleable bones, but they're solid, they're strong. And if you'd like, you can place your hands a little bit farther than shoulder width apart, maybe bringing them out slightly and coming up into a seal. But if you'd like a lower back bend here, you can come back to Sphinx and even bring your elbows out to the sides, letting the lumbar spine get a little bit of a break here, but still feeling that lifting up while being supported by the ground. So your choice for sensation. I'll only be here for another minute or so. Noticing the points of contact, feeling the floor. Feeling the scaffolding, the structure, the beams of your own little house that is your body. And bending the elbows if you're in your seal and coming down. You can bring your arms out into a T shape and just rest either cheek down to the ground. Switch cheeks. And now we'll just come up and back for a child's pose. So just pushing your hips back to your heels. And you can let the arms come by your sides. Knees can be close together for this one. Just a nice little seed. Spring is coming. The seeds are about to bloom. Taking this tiny seed shape, maybe bringing some healing attention to this little seed. Imagining a bright white light surrounding the whole body. With each gentle breath, each exhalation, that bright light grows bigger and bigger. Holding all parts of you. We can send ourselves some loving kindness here to plant some love for ourselves for this upcoming season. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be safe. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace. May I be at peace. Letting that brightness of you sink down into the skin, pulling it from all sides of you back into your soul, into your whole being, into your heart, into the deepest parts of you, the seed inside the seed. Like we're a little nesting doll and we're just bringing it into the smaller and smaller and smaller parts of ourselves, deep to the core, pulling that healing sensation, that wish for kindness, that wish for love. And so it shall be. You can start to exit your child's pose seedling now, as slowly as possible. Tipping the hips over onto the side and just coming to lay flat on your back. Let's have knees bent. Take a little windshield wiper with the knees. You could also straighten out, kind of rock the hips. You can squeeze the knees into the chest or take a happy baby. Rolling back and forth, just undoing anything that we just did, neutralizing the body, neutralizing the spine with any movement that feels good. It doesn't even have to be on the back. Just moving how you like here. Free space to do what you please. Doesn't have to look like what I am doing. I'm not even really thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. Because it feels good. And that's nice. Feeling good is nice. And we can end today with a twist. So you can cross one knee over the other and bring that to the side, or you could stack your knees. You could place the sole of your foot on the top of one leg and roll over. Each twist gives a little bit of a different kind of spark of sensation. So you can decide how you want to twist today. Wringing out the spine, giving the organs a massage. Marveling in how fantastic it is to have a spine that moves. However much it moves, it's your spine. And that's wonderful. Let's take the tongue, because we don't have tiny little chicken tongues. We have larger, rounder people tongues. And graze the inside of the mouth, the inner gums, us dragging the tongue along, the inner mouth, the inner cheeks, around the teeth. Letting go of any tense tightness that might be holding in the mouth. Maybe letting the tongue out, open the mouth big. Let it go back. There's even a little echo after that we can pay attention to. There's always something that we can bring our awareness to be more present with our bodies and our minds. So maybe we can do it one more time. Big open mouth, tongue out, eyes wide. Let it go. Feel what it did. Any tingling sensation in the face. Sense of aliveness. And we can transition now, twisting on the other side, uncrossing your legs or undoing any kind of fold you've got. Maybe let everything spread out. Stretch your body in half. Wiggle your toes. Maybe take monkey toes again. Gripping, pointing, flexing. Circles, windshield wipers. All the lovely things that undo and start us fresh again. Any kind of breath, attention to the breath. Twisting now over to the other side. Getting nice and cozy. Becoming familiar with this pose now, this side. Just feeling the texture of the breath, moving ever so subtly in and out of the nostrils. Almost imperceptible sometimes. The way the breath can kind of just fall out. And it just kind of emerges back in, flooding up the lungs, filling you up without any extra effort on our part. It's always happening. We can exit our twist now. Transition out of the twist with any last movements that feel really nice for your body, for your mind, for your whole being. And we'll land in our Savasana. Once you're there, whichever position you've chosen for your Savasana today, you can just bring your hands to the outer edges of your arms and give them a little squeeze. Just pulling the muscle away from the bone a little bit. And then maybe pressing the hands on the chest slightly, giving yourself a little bit of release here. And letting the arms go, letting the face be uncrunched, unperturbed, nothing to think about, nothing to do. Simple being. Tuning in again to the structure of the bones. Just imagining that deep part of ourselves hidden from the surface, but always there, solid, structured internal space. Feel the heaviness of the body. And you can start to turn over to one side. Give yourself a little hug. Fetal position hug. Sending yourself some love. Thanking yourself for doing yoga, for taking care of yourself. And coming up to sit, to close. Finding a comfortable seat. Taking any final movements that you desire. Just noticing what's here, how it feels to sit after a full hour practice. We'll dedicate our practice to all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be at peace. And so it shall be. Close with a bow. Thank you.
Thanks, Sadie.